the family. I hope you die in prison as well.
Individual would be down those four general sessions.
Darling, I wish I could. I would give my life for Austin. I loved him a lot. I didn't mean to kill Austin. Ashley, I really didn't. I really think I did that. I didn't mean to hurt him.
When you're a teenager, your life has barely begun. You're still learning how to live your life. Well, imagine having the rest of your life torn away from you and spending the rest of your life in a prison cell. Imagine your reaction to the moment that that judge takes away your life in the bang of a gavel. Well, we're going to see what that is exactly like right now as we dive into 10 teens reacting to life sentences. This first convict, known as Nicholas Lindsay, was actually too young to receive a life sentence when he was first handed into the police, but upon his resentencing, he was met with life behind bars. When the judge reads out this sentence, Nicholas just sits there, grinning, showing zero lack of remorse for his crimes. His mother walks out and just says it is what it is.
There is no indication that this type of violent behavior will stop.
Criminal history and odds of rehabilitation must be considered before life without parole is imposed.
The court has significant doubts about the defendant's potential for rehabilitation.
But Lindsay actually grinned when the judge read his ruling, the lack of remorse not lost on David Crawford's daughter, Amanda.
This next teen receives his sentence for starting a fire that killed an innocent teenager, a stupid mistake which cost an innocent life and ruined another. You could tell by the way this teen is reacting that he completely regrets his stupid decision and even starts praying as he cries.
Shows that there is something said significant and intentional in immediately starting another fire in the living room.
I agree with the family. I hope you die in prison as well.
Individual would be down those four general sessions.
Dylan is being sentenced here for the murder of a sweet innocent baby. He killed his girlfriend's child, and when the court day comes, he tries to plead that he didn't mean to kill the child, despite the fact that the baby was beaten to death. His plot to win over the jury didn't work, and he is serving his life sentence.
I wish I could. I would give my life for Austin. I loved him a lot. Ashley, I really didn't. I really think I did that. I didn't mean to hurt him.
He was actually caught by the judge for actually trying to text his mother saying that he hopes the jury will feel sorry for him and that he's gonna cry on purpose to try and lower his sentence.
That on July 23rd, 2013, in a phone call to your mother, I am a 16-year-old blonde. Probably all I have to do is cry in front of the jury and they're going to feel sorry for me.
Philip Chime looks like an innocent high school student. He is actually in court for murdering his teacher. The teacher was actually only 24 years old, which is extremely young for a teacher. She was just starting her life up when it was taken away from her in a blink of an eye. Philip was sentenced to life, and here's his reaction.
Philip Chisholm on indictment number 2013-1446001. The jury, having returned a verdict of guilty of murder in the first degree on deliberate premeditation and extreme atrocity and cruelty, you will hearken to the sentence the court has awarded against you. The court, having duly considered your offenses, it is hereby ordered that you be committed to the Department of Youth Services until the age of 21, and furthermore committed to the Massachusetts Correctional Institution at Cedar Junction for the period of not less than 25 years and not more than life, and that you stand committed in execution of this sentence.
Jodi Arias is the first female on this list. She was being sentenced for the murder of her ex-boyfriend. Her boyfriend was actually famous for saying these disturbing words to his friend. Don't be surprised if one of these Sundays I don't show up and you find me dead in some place. Well, that's exactly what happened before she was sentenced to life in prison. She actually killed her ex-boyfriend just like he said she would.
But I had to fight for my life just like I did on June 4th, 2008, because I realized how selfish it would be for me to escape accountability for this mess that I've created. I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters, several nieces and nephews, a mom, a dad, 8 aunts, 9 uncles, over 20 cousins that I've grown up with, as well as countless friends, all of whom would suffer greatly if I took my own life or if I allocuted and begged for the death penalty and then got it. The most important thing I want to say is that I am very sorry for the enormous pain that I've caused the people that love Travis. I'm horrified because of what I did, and I wish there was some way I could take it back.
Court finds the defendant has no prior criminal history. The defendant has family and community support. The defendant has mental health issues. The court has also considered the defendant's childhood background. The court finds the mitigation presented is not sufficiently substantial to call for leniency and that a natural life sentence is appropriate. It is ordered the defendant shall be incarcerated in the Department of Corrections for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
This teenager freaks out after he is sentenced. The defendant freaks out, cries in court and begs the officers not to take him away, showing that he at least has some sympathy for what he did. This next teen was sentenced to life in prison after he and his girlfriend robbed and killed an elderly lady. The robbery apparently went wrong, and while trying to escape, the teen shot and killed the woman who was completely defenseless. The teen just sits and smiles as his life is being taken away from him. He's also seen actually falling asleep at one point during the sentencing.
With a chuckle, a laugh, and yawn after yawn, David Moses acted strangely at his sentencing this morning, appearing to fall asleep in his chair not once, but twice, suffered physical, verbal, and emotional abuse growing up, leading to a lengthy criminal history, including sexually assaulting his sister, then a developmentally disabled cousin, and 7 other children while he was in a group home. While Sessions' family said they hope to one day see her again in heaven, Moses' attorney asked the judge for hope as well, in the form of a possibility for parole.
To give him that hope for the next 25 years, that he may have an opportunity to be returned to society.
Instead, the judge sentenced Moses to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
And that's in the penitentiary for the rest of his life.
TJ Lane was convicted for killing 3 of his fellow high school students, which makes him a very young serial killer. He has absolutely no remorse for his crimes, and he was of course sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. And when he was being sentenced, he wore a white t-shirt with the word killer painted across it, showing how sick and twisted this teenager really is.
Nick is a very kind and loving. Why would you want to hurt him? You don't know kind. You're evil. I will have to eventually forgive you. Otherwise, you will haunt me. You will never, ever be in my thoughts after this. Never. My family will move on, not you. You have ruined your life, not to mention Adam's. Even gave you a ride. Nick even gave you a ride from school. That someone tried to kill 5 people, and all they did was want to go to school.
TJ also escaped prison a year after his sentencing with another inmate who was actually captured.
19-year-old TJ Lane escaped from the Allen County Correctional Center in Lima, Ohio, and a massive search is underway for Lane and 45-year-old Clifford Opperud. Lane was serving 3 life sentences for the February 2012 murders of 3 students in Chardon High School, east of Cleveland. Witnesses said he just walked into the crowded cafeteria that morning and started shooting.
This next teen actually killed his great-grandmother with a hatchet with one of his friends, which is extremely disturbing. The teen was of course sentenced to life in prison and responds by saying that the news like to twist a lot of things around. He was still sentenced and found guilty.
Instead of starting his freshman year in high school, 14-year-old Antonio Barbo will go to prison.
This next video is very famous for showing a teenager who almost starts laughing when he is sentenced for killing the 23-year-old. The mother of the victim is in tears and is so choked up she can't even speak to the jury as his sister has to stand in for her.
I've lost laughter and love. I no longer have the hope of having grandchildren. I've lost the enjoyment of holidays and birthdays and of everyday life.
I just want to tell y'all, I'll be home soon. R.I.P. Keon. I love my family.
That's all you got to say?
Yes.